In this video, I want to take you down through my watch list. Now, this is my watch list for accumulation. Now, I sent you out a cheat sheet just recently. You can see here, this is the Wyckoff Accumulation, Markup, Distribution, and Markdown stage. So this is a list of stocks that are going through the markdown stage. And so as we go through the markdown stage, these are areas of accumulation. So if you're buying shares, you want to buy small quantities of shares, over a period of time, just like the banks do. So we're going to accumulate as the market starts to come down into this markdown stage and goes through a new accumulation stage and then turns and starts to rally once again. Now it's the breaking of that accumulation stage on the rebound where we want to start looking at options. So the first stock on the list is ADT. And so ADT is making a nice little ABC top formation in here, ABC, and you can see it's down here approaching the 200% level. So this is down into the lower end of the accumulation stage, and we're anticipating a curl and a turn and a start to rally. If you want to buy an option when it crosses those blue lights, that would be a great place to buy an option. Amgen, same thing. We're getting kind of that same little pattern in here, ABC pattern. We're down here at the 130.9, which is the Fibonacci ratio to the downside, accumulation stage, and then a rise in price. And so this is what we're looking for here on Amgen. This is Amazon. Now, Amazon has come up and made this nice little bounce already. So we've already come off the accumulation stage. We've got our first rally point here, and then we come in with our Fibonacci projections. So we got A, B, C. We're pulling back, and of course when it crosses that blue light, that would be a great place to buy an option. So we got Chevron in here. Chevron's coming down through the distribution stage. Now we're coming down to the first distribution stage. This is what we call an X1SA1. So X1SA1, for those of you who have studied my book. If you want more information about my book and how you can get into the understanding the information of what an X1A1S is, you can contact me, lhturner@tradementors.com. I'd be happy to send you some information on how you can get that book. So here we come in, and this is a nice little area. This would be the first rebound. Now, generally we expect a ABC pattern, so a little ABC pattern. So I'm not excited about taking X1SA1s, okay? They're a low probability of success. We do expect a little rebound and then a drop once again. So that's what we're looking at in Chevron. Doesn't mean it can't take off and run right here, but we generally expect a second drop in ABC down pattern. Now, you could say, well, then, you did get one. There's your ABC pattern right there. And so that would be your downside, and this would be the rebound. So we can take that with a grain of salt. This is that nice little ABC going through the reaccumulation to the downside, and then the rally at this point off Chevron. So as we come into gold, now this is the same thing with gold. Gold's been on the run lately because there's been a lot of countries who have been buying gold, a lot of big governments. Russia, China, some of these other countries have been buying gold, and so that's what's caused this big run up. Now we're coming into again, this is another X1 SA1. So X1, first exit to the downside, S means short, and then A1 to the upside. First A1, first opportunity for the upside. Again, not the highest probability of success, but it is, based on this Fibonacci projection here, something we might want to consider going through and begin the accumulation stage of accumulating some gold down here while it's low. If it turns and breaks, you can continue the accumulation as it comes down into what we would anticipate the ABC pattern to the upside, and then look for the option down in here. That's what we'd look for in gold. So let's come into Google. Google has made this nice Fibonacci retracement. So we're looking at this one here as well. I'm in the accumulation stage on Google, accumulating shares as this market comes down into this red zone. So it's the red zone for me that I start to the accumulation stage and start picking up shares as it comes down in anticipation of dollar cost averaging my shares for the rally. So here's Home Depot again coming down into the accumulation stage, and so we can see that this is a great place to be starting to accumulate some shares. We don't come in and dump all of our account into it at once. We slowly accumulate over time, giving us a nice dollar cost average position in here in anticipation of the rebound. So the rebound would be, over the long term, would be something like this. So we're looking for this market to rally, come back down against the market. You can see 69.2% in here, right down into the Fibonacci sweet spot. and then to start to rally once again. So we're going to start accumulating shares right down in here with the big banks, accumulating in anticipation of the next rally. So here's Honeywell coming into the accumulation stage once again as well. So we're going to come in with the ABC tool for the long term. There we go. And we're starting to accumulate some shares in anticipation of a continuation of the rally. So we come into IBM. IBM's in the same situation here. All of these stocks that I've got on this list are basically like that. So you can see we've got this peak right up in here. This one came out a little bit quieter, so we're going to come out, but you can see it's right down here around the 100%, 130.9. We're accumulating IBM off of this narrow channel here. This little Darvas box that came across, for those of you who are aware of Darvas box. So there's a little Darvas box or accumulation, reaccumulation. We're going to come down here, and this is the second drive down, and this is where we're going to start accumulating shares, looking for this market to start to turn and start to rally once again. So that's what we'll look for here on IBM. Intel. You know, Intel's been going sideways here for a little while. We've talked about Intel on several occasions. I think it's in a you know, kind of a tough situation right now with the ability to get their chips out and all that kind of stuff that with the supply chains. But nonetheless, we've been going through a huge accumulation stage here. My belief is this is a great place to be buying up some Intel. Intel's a great company, and these are low prices, buy low, sell high, and this is the accumulation stage for Intel. And I've been accumulating shares here myself, and you know, I think in 2 years we're going to look back and say, where in the heck was I back when Intel was trading at $26 a share? So this is a great accumulation opportunity. Not excited about buying options on this one yet. I want to see an explosive growth change out of Intel. You know, buying options is difficult to make money if they're not more of an explosive growth. This is just kind of a accumulation, pick up some shares and look for them to start to rise. So this is Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson's been beat down pretty hard here with the pandemic turning around, a lot of people not getting the shots and all that kind of stuff. But nonetheless, this is where they've come down into, and they're getting down into an accumulation stage. You can see we're dipping down very deep in here. So this is a great place to start looking to maybe pick up some shares. Now, I would expect this market, I don't know if it's going to turn right around and make a V recovery, you know, and come right straight up out of this thing. I would expect it to actually come up a little bit and then probably have some sideways momentum in here and then rally up out of that sideways a little bit. So that's probably what we'll see. We'll get a little bit of an accumulation in here, and then we'll watch for that rally up. So here's 3M. Again, basically the same pattern. Again, like I say, all of them in this list are basically the same little ABC pattern, which is what put them into this list. And so we got this nice little pullback. We're testing this low. In my opinion, this is a great place to start picking up some shares in anticipation of the accumulation stage and then the rally out the top. So then we're going to come into Microsoft, and Microsoft has already gone through this accumulation stage, pretty wide one here. So we've got this nice long accumulation stage from Microsoft. We had a false breakout, came back down, retested, and rallied once again. And so I believe that this is an ABC pattern, and we're going to look for this market to continue this uptrend, looking for the 3-drive pattern, drive 1, drive 2, drive 3. So here's Procter & Gamble coming back into the Fibonacci 50% level off this big major move. Look at this. Come back, comes right down into the Fibonacci sweet spot. Now, oftentimes, this is the first drive down. We get the accumulation zone. We can start accumulating in here, but we might get that next drop down, a reaccumulation, a bigger accumulation level down in here, and then we would look for it to break out. Now, if we get a nice breakout in here, a confirmation of a breakout, we haven't quite got a spring out of this thing yet. We need it to break this low right here to call that a spring, but it doesn't always give us a spring. And the market will turn and start to rally once again. And if it breaks those blue lights, of course, that's where we're at right now, about ready to break those blue lights. We got our nice little natural trend line there, and then we get our next little trend line coming across that natural, right across with the blue lights. And then, of course, the spider web would bring us across the top horizontally. And so that's where we're looking at now. There's a possibility this thing could start to rally and come up and give us that nice long ABCD pattern off of this pattern here. So there we go. That's what we're looking for. There is a possibility of the next drive down coming down into another accumulation, but there's also what we're looking for is this market come down into the Fibonacci sweet spot, start to rally once again. So we got the Qs. This is QQQ. This is the ETF, of course. And it's made that nice long accumulation stage right through here. We're going to call this accumulation. It's broke out, coming down, broke out the accumulation. And I think we're going to get this little ABC pattern off of here. And I think this is probably a great place to start looking at cues. And we've been accumulating a little bit on the way down here to get buy low, sell high in anticipation of this shot out the top. So then we come into TRV. Travelers has been going through an accumulation stage. Now the problem with this is that this could be this nice big rally, right, where this market comes up. We go through the distribution stage and then we look for a markdown stage. So we look for this thing to come down, go through an accumulation across here, distribution, and the possibility of a breakdown out the bottom. So this is actually bearish unless this becomes, and you never know. You don't know what the bank's intentions are, but this is Travelers, so we have to think about, the fundamentals of this right now too. Are a lot of people traveling? Are we anticipating that this is another large accumulation stage? The banks are loading up on this thing in anticipation of a rally out the top. We have to wait and see. We don't know if that's going to break out the top, but right now we got a couple of little tests, it looks like, where they were testing bringing it down out of the bottom to see what this looked like before they take it up and run it out the top, see if they can't get some more accumulation in here. So that's what that looks like to me. It looks like they're picking up some cheap shares in anticipation of running it out the top, but there's always a chance it could come down and make this lower region down in here. So the markdown stage. So here's Tesla. Tesla's made the beautiful Elliott wave that we talked about here. This is X, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like a train on rails. This is our ABC pattern, and we're looking for it to come back up in this region here. So that would be our Fibonacci projection level off of the bottom here, ABC. It's just how far is it going to come back before it starts to rally. It looks like it's got some strength in there. It doesn't really want to come back very far. Tesla, another great company that I'm bullish on, looking for this market to continue to rise with our spider web in here. And then our natural trend line across those blue lights will be somewhere in there. So we'll look for opportunities to get in. We'll look for the first price bar to make a new high, possibility of getting in. This might be a great place to pick up an option on Tesla if you're a Tesla fan and believe that Tesla has a nice future ahead of it. Pick up an option looking for this ABC to rally into the future. So we got the Walmarts in here. So Walmart coming in here, making the nice little ABC pattern off of here, coming up out of that area of accumulation, which is right across here. You can see that nice area of accumulation, and then it rallied out ABC. It's come back down. We're now down into another area of accumulation, it looks like to me. So we have to be mindful of the fact that this is an accumulation stage right through here, that there might be another dip down. It could come and pop out the bottom here and then probably turn and rally at that point, or this could be the test that we've been looking for. It's tested several times coming out the bottom here, and now we would look for across that blue light with that natural trend line, and that's where we would start looking for this spider web once again, across the natural trend line, and then of course across the horizontal. So this is where we'd be looking to take a long position. This would be a nice place. I've been accumulating shares through this narrow sideways channel. If it breaks down and starts to fall out the bottom, I'll stop my accumulation in anticipation of another accumulation area down here. Let it run down a little bit, and then we can start accumulating once again in anticipation of the rally out of there. So we're going to have a couple of little locations we can kind of follow along with Walmart. And that's my quick rundown of my watch list of markets that have been going through the accumulation distribution model with the Wyckoff theory. And if you have any questions, please let me know.